That's a pretty good pea.
Peas. Peas are one of the first things that got done in here, along with spinach. And I've got some very small carrots.
So what is this place?
This is my urban organic greenhouse dome, like geodesic dome greenhouse. It's a Buckminster Fuller dome that I built. My wife and I built. Kind of ripped it all out of stud lumber, bought from Home Depot. Total cost for just the dome was just a little bit over $200.
How about the plastic?
Plastic totally was $60. Also from Home Depot. It's 6 mil vinyl sheeting. So far it has not torn into little tiny pieces.
How long do you expect it'll last?
Another week. I'm not really sure. I expect to replace it after a season and 2 if I'm lucky. It doesn't have a lot of insulating properties, so it won't really take my greenhouse far into the cold seasons. So what I'll probably do is replace it with polycarbonate, which is a more standard greenhouse glazing, and insulate the north wall. Maybe put some water tanks in here to kind of provide a thermal mass to collect heat and keep things cool in the day, and to give off heat and keep things warm at night. So a little bit of background. I grew up on Long Island, and my parents and I would have wonderful gardens. And I moved out to Colorado Springs in 1996, and since then I would, with our short grow season, cold nights, brutal sun, and essentially no humidity, I would grow these decrepit little tiny, weak, and worthless plants in my garden. And it was always very discouraging. Then, after growing these weak little kind of dying, sunburnt plants, the hail would come and just obliterate them. So I was visiting Crestone, and I got the idea from seeing all these people that were actually doing farming in the middle of the winter that I could build a dome myself and have kind of an urban kind of greenhouse, sort of do some urban farming. And it's turned out far better than Jenny or I ever imagined. It's been pretty spectacular.
So just having the dome with one sheet of plastic, and I'm looking around in here, and you have a gigantic bounty of crop.
Let's see, it's July 7th. I have already eaten cucumbers. I've got tomatoes growing. I've got tomato plants that are taller than us in here. I've got eggplant that's far along the way. Carrots.
Have you harvested carrots?
Just a little tiny baby one. And so we've got lots of salad greens, some stuff that grows fairly quickly. Lots of tomatoes, cucumbers. I've got about 7 varieties of peppers. Cabbage, Brussels sprouts, honeydew melons, cantaloupes. Let's see.
Now, some would say, and have said, like, for example, with your tomatoes, that you just have way too many plants, but I see tomatoes growing on them.
That's probably true. They're probably a little crowded. We don't really know what we're doing all that well this first year. But sort of what you do with tomato plants anyway is you grow them up. After they flower, you cut them back and you remove every branch that isn't actually growing a tomato. So my guess is once we do that, it's going to look a lot less crowded. But yeah, everything's just packed like crazy right now. And then there's the kids' garden where they just threw an entire packet of seeds into about a 3 square foot area. So yeah, that's it's kind of like a forest canopy.
Talk about the ventilation in here, which you have two panels in the ceiling that can open up, and then you have fans in here. And then do you have all of this on a digital thermometer, right?
Not really, actually. Okay, so I built these 2 kind of trapdoors in the ceiling with sticks that I attached that let me open and close them without bringing in a ladder. And then I built 2 trapdoors at the bottom and covered those with the wire mesh to keep squirrels and cats out. Then I just used 2 box fans, like big box, like room fans, house fans, that I got from Ace, and those have thermostats built into them. So I just set them up so that when it gets hot in here, those fans come on and they blow in at pretty high speed and vent all the air out through the top. When the sun is up, it gets pretty warm in here, It probably can run up to maybe 7 degrees warmer than outside with the fans running. But if it wasn't for the fans, everything in here I think would cook in a couple of hours. So there's a lot of airflow that I've got through, probably 10 square feet of ventilation that I've set up. So
talk about the raised beds and what kind of soil you put in.
I got soil from, I think it was C&C sand, whatever their trimix soil was. So I bought kind of the best sand that I could. All the beds in here I also ripped out of 2x4s. So the cheapest lumber I could find, because I didn't want to spend a lot of money on any of this, was to buy 2x4s from Home Depot at like $1.67 for an 8-foot piece of stud lumber. And then I ripped them in half on my table saw and just kind of screwed them all together. So there's really not a lot of cost in the lumber and everything here. There was quite a bit of labor, but it went, with my wife and I working on it, it all went pretty quickly.
How long did it take you?
To build the beds?
No, how long did it take you to build the whole thing?
Well, one problem is you've got to cut each end of the struts for the dome individually, and I, due to some bad information I got off of the internet, ended up doing all of that twice. So my dome, which is 18 feet in diameter, or rather 17 feet, originally was supposed to be 18 feet, so I had to recut everything. So it probably took me 3 weeks of nights and weekends to do everything that you see here, and certainly not every night, not every day during the weekend. But it went pretty fast once I got the system down. The actual building of the dome, that went very quickly, and I got some help from friends, and I built the top section first, and then we put together the bottom section, and then we carried the top section and placed it onto the bottom section, because it's about 12 feet tall in here. So we built the top and bottom separately, and then just kind of connected them. And everything went together great.
How long do you expect this to take you into the winter? You don't know yet.
Depends completely on how much winterizing I do. And the R value of just a sheet of vinyl isn't very good at all. So if I was to go through some of the motions to try and insulate things, make the north wall solid, which doesn't actually receive any sunlight, and then replace the vinyl with something like multi-layer polycarbonate greenhouse glazing, I potentially could garden in here all year round.